This program is brought to you by SAMCEDA, the San Mateo County Economic Development Association.
Why should you invest the next 20 to 30 minutes of your time in watching? Have you ever wondered about the people and purpose behind various businesses on the peninsula and Silicon Valley? Who works there? Why? What do these companies and organizations really contribute to our communities? If you are even a little bit curious, take a moment and hear their stories and why business is more than the bottom line. For 7 decades, the San Mateo County Economic Development Association, better known as SAMCEDA, has championed the business community by convening and connecting them to the communities in which they make their home. People hear about Genentech and Oracle, but do they know about Design Tech High School and Future Labs? My guess is no. So we are going to tell these stories and many more. The stories of your friends and neighbors who work there and how they contribute and collaborate through their employers with our food banks, our schools, our youth sports teams, our art and cultural groups, our veterans and our seniors. How their companies give back and believe in more than the bottom line. On today's show, we have Winsome Bowen, Head of Regional Transportation Strategy, and Ashley Quintana, Public Policy Manager, Community Engagement at Facebook. Welcome to More Than the Bottom Line. I'm Rosanne Foust, your host, and with me today is Winsome Bowen, who is Head of Regional Transportation Strategy with Facebook, and Ashley Quintana, Public Policy Manager, Community Engagement with Facebook. Thank you both, Winsome and Ashley, for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Facebook does so many good things in the community, and we'd like for you to talk about all those wonderful things. But before we get into that with Facebook, could you just tell us both, each of you tell us a little bit about your background? Winsome, would you like to start?
So I am a career-long transportation planner. I've been in community development and spent most of my time in the consulting field, in the engineering consulting field, mostly to public sector clients. So my work has ranged from planning for a community center all the way to regional transportation initiatives that have been implemented.
Thank you. Ashley?
And I've been in Facebook for 3 years, and prior to Facebook, I was at San Mateo County, so local government doing community relations. And I grew up in Redwood City, so I am back hometown. So it's been really nice to work back to the community that I've been part of.
Well, tell us about some of the activities at Facebook that you're involved with on the regional level in terms of community engagement.
So I think Ashley can start with some of the more local things, and then we can give you an overview of the regional stuff.
Yeah. So Facebook is a very mission-driven company. The mission is to give people the power to build community and bring the world closer together. And for us, it's very hyper-local, right? And it all starts at home, at headquarters. So we do a variety of initiatives, programming and events through community building, like our Facebook festivals, our mobile market, and our festivals is once every month. And essentially it's just bringing the whole Bay Area together for a free, fun, family, amazing event on campus. So it's a really great opportunity for people who don't come on campus very often to just enjoy a really great event. And then our mobile markets are on the weekends, and it provides access to produce and vegetables to the local community. So those are really amazing events that we have. And then we have things that range from transportation initiatives that Winsome can talk more about, environment.
But you're involved in housing, in neighborhood awareness, in helping connect people. I mean, it's all very positive. And I think some of the challenges right now in San Mateo County are housing and transportation. So, Winsome, why don't we touch on transportation?
Yes, so on a larger regional scale, we do realize that we're a part of a broader community. And yes, our shuttle buses are very visible, and there's quite a bit of talk about the impact of the tech world's shuttle buses on local transportation. And we're part of not just the local community, but we're neighbors to the broader Bay Area community. So we engage with public sector on different ways to address congestion, to partner in many ways from the small scale all the way to more impactful, risky regional initiatives to see how we can be a part of solutions as opposed to being constantly accused of being the cause of this congestion.
But I also think that the community needs to be aware of the jobs that you provide. I mean, Facebook has thousands of employees, not just here locally, but throughout the U.S., throughout the world. And I think that job creation is very, very important.
Absolutely. So while the core of our business is the engineering world, for every engineer we hire, it generates a need for many others in a supporting function, administrative roles in human resources, in security, in just our facilities management and operations. So we are indeed a significant economic driver in the region and nationwide in certain pockets. And we provide a source of skilled and unskilled work opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, economic opportunity is a huge thing for us, for our team. We have a local program called Access, so it provides training opportunities and also just opportunities of what are the jobs out there. And we heard from the neighbors. They're like, I apply and I just never hear back. So we heard a need and we found a solution. We brought someone in our team who specifically focuses on that. So it's really, really important, as Winsome said. Also our platform, small businesses. I mean, a lot of them are not, actually have a store, and all they do is on Facebook. So it's just amazing to see how many small businesses really gain from Facebook's presence here in society.
And I want to come back to that because I think your small business assistance, your local access initiative, you are a huge supporter of Year Up.
Yeah.
So when we come back, we're going to take a break now from More Than the Bottom Line, and we'll be back shortly. Welcome back to More Than the Bottom Line. With me today are two fantastic Facebook employees. We have Winsome Bowen, who is head of regional transportation strategy, and Ashley Quintana, public policy manager, community engagement. Before the break, we were talking about Facebook's local access program with local hiring, as well as your support for Year Up. Could we go a little bit more into that?
Yeah, absolutely. So with small businesses, we actually started an initiative last year called Community Boost. So essentially it's an opportunity for small businesses in the area to come together and have free trainings on how to better use our platform. And then with Year Up, which is really exciting, we actually started this partnership this year. We have over 30 interns, ages 18 to 24, who are interested in just learning more about the tech company. And so this is an opportunity for them to have access to Facebookers and have a mentor at Facebook. And their programming is actually at our location at headquarters. So we have this place called Building 45, which also is referred to as our community hub. So we have nonprofits in the area that use this space for them to have their programming when it comes to STEM education or when it comes to overall economic opportunity initiatives. So it's been a really amazing opportunity to not only have a lot of our local youth be part of this program, but also have our employees engage with our community.
And that's what I think people in the community should always remember. Facebook employees are community members.
Absolutely.
You were born and raised in Redwood City. Winsome, you chose the community to be your home. So Facebook employees live locally.
Yes.
And I think from a transportation perspective, I think it's important to remember that and tell us about why it's important for a company like Facebook to be at the table when we're talking about transportation and housing and workforce development, the real challenges.
So the real challenge is we do have a significant presence in Menlo Park, our corporate headquarters. We are expanding tremendously across the Bay Area. We are leasing space in several communities in the region, and our employees need to have access to their workplace. So we're growing in terms of not just our employee size and our physical presence, but we also, the need for us to transport those employees is growing. And we're becoming even more integrated into communities and neighborhoods across the region. So it's really important for us to be a part of the local and extra-local conversation and be engaged in the process of making communities whole and addressing some of the livability issues that we face. Not that they're easy solutions, but we need to be at the table engaging with our partners.
Yeah.
And you've been very supportive of local nonprofits. I mean, scholarships and internships and financial giving and employee time. So talk about, I mean, this is embedded in the culture at Facebook,
Right.
is working with the nonprofits. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So building community, I mean, as I said, is part of our mission, and our employees always are interested in giving back and engaging with local nonprofits. So there's a variety of ways that we do that, and that's through our actual own platform, which we have a lot of social good tools. So if an employee wants to raise money for a local nonprofit, they can easily do it, and it's been amazing. We've raised over $1 billion since the tool actually launched, which is just fascinating that anyone can do it, and super easy and simple. And then we also have a lot of our volunteering opportunities. So a lot of our teams decide to come together and just give back to a local nonprofit in the area. And then that ranges from donation drives to annual events. We have our Rebuilding Together block build, which is amazing. We bring over 100 employees come together to rebuild and just do a lot of a lot of repairs to a lot of the homes locally, and a lot of them are a lot of seniors that are just unable to afford those repairs. So it's just really great to see how a lot of our employees really want to engage and just give back to the community that has provided, well, a home for us.
I think it's very gratifying. I have watched friends raise tens of thousands of dollars on the Facebook platform because you make it so easy. And what advice would you give to other companies? Because we all know there's a negativity towards tech out there. But what are some thoughtful reminders that we could provide to our community members, our other companies, about employers like Facebook that are going more than the bottom line?
So I would say the bottom line is that tech has become ingrained in our daily lives, not just locally, but globally. That's the way we communicate with each other, regardless of physical distance. So I think it's something that we need to embrace our position in the world and engage with our communities in order to become a part of the local and extra-local fabric. Our neighbors, for instance, immediately adjacent to us, such as in the Bellhaven neighborhoods and in Menlo Park, can choose to look at us as this looming physical presence that is just bursting in their backyards and see us in a very detached, remote way. Or we can engage with them in a very hands-on, personable manner and build a relationship and build those inroads into the community so we really become community partners and members. I think it's important to not just look at the fiscal bottom line, but how do we become a truly integral part of a community so that we have longevity and relevance?
I want to thank you both for being with us here today, because I think we were able to provide the community with more than the bottom line about Facebook and all the good that you are doing in the community. So thank you, Winsome. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you for having us.
We'll be back for another segment of More Than the Bottom Line. Welcome back to More Than the Bottom Line. With me today are two fantastic Facebook employees. Winsome Bowen, who is head of Regional Transportation Strategy, and Ashley Quintana, who is Public Policy Manager, Community Engagement. Welcome, and thank you for being here. So before the break, we were talking about the advice you would give to other companies in terms of community engagement. So Ashley, I know that you wanted to share some thoughts.
Yeah, well, first of all, like our roles exist because the company cares about this and they care to be at the table. And, we realize there's regional challenges and we want to be part of the solution. And so with, Winsome focusing on a lot of the transportation, which we know that's a regional challenge here in the Bay Area, and myself with community engagement and making sure that the community knows that we're not just a blue app on your phone and we're not, there's walls and like you cannot come to Facebook. It's like we come to you. We have monthly chats with neighbors. We make sure that people are following us on Facebook and just knowing about what we're doing, because at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we're being a good neighbor to the community that surrounds us. And that truly is what makes this job awesome, and just giving back to a community that I've, been part of for so long.
And when Facebook first approached me when I was on the other side of the country about this potential opportunity, at first I was highly skeptical because I thought, Facebook? I'm not sure that I do this because I work in the field of civil engineering and AE consulting and public infrastructure delivery. But the more I engaged in the conversation, which unfolded over the course of about 4 to 5 months, the more I thought, oh wow, this could be a huge opportunity for us to explore the possibility of how a company coming totally from a different and unexpected field could make a significant impact in an area that affects our daily lives, transportation. Transportation is the backbone of any economy, whether on the local level or on the regional or national level. It's significant in terms of how we get around, whether it's a movement of goods, people, services. It colors everything that we do, and it certainly frames the economic development and liability of a country.
Absolutely. And I think, tell us maybe an aha moment for each of you at Facebook within your roles. There must have been kind of a moment. I mean, Ashley, you grew up here and you've seen the landscape change. So kind of that moment where you helped someone or you had a particular community engagement.
So first of all, I never thought I was going to be in tech, ironically, being that girl who grew up in Silicon Valley. I actually thought I was going to do politics and going to be in embassy and going to be in New York. And so, a big advice I give to just young professionals is like, you never know what's going to happen and you never know who you're going to meet. For me, actually, a really amazing experience was when my principal, when I was 5, it was the principal of a school that was just right next to us. And so when I was at a community event tabling for Facebook, he sees me and we just like have this moment that he hasn't seen me for like over 20 years, but still recognized me. And it was amazing because now we're going to be partners, right? So going from being his student to then, being a friend, because my mom was very close as well. And then all of a sudden we're working together in a very, professional setting, and it was just amazing to see like that full circle of how he gave so much to me when I was younger, and like now how we're working together, and
how proud he must be of you.
It was just an amazing experience, and I will forever remember that moment in time where we just looked at each other, and he was very proud. And also I think it was a great opportunity for him to realize that, as many people should realize, that Facebook is not just that app that you see in your phone. They really do give back, and it is tough. I think we have very tough jobs, and you really have to love what you do because, it's a lot of patience, it's a lot of listening. But we realize that, there are challenges out there, and we want to make sure that we are listening and seeing how we can be part of those solutions.
And I think it's important to be open to conversations with a different group of people than we normally engage in, because I would say every major career move in my life has been because I was willing to take a calculated risk. Not just a risk for the sake of being risky, but think it through and be bold. Be willing to be bold and courageous and say, I have never done it quite like this before, but what if? And to be open to that conversation and making a move, which is what I've done each time I've pushed myself forward. So, and also the importance of your network, because I came upon this opportunity to be a part of the Facebook family through a professional friend who said to me, well, what about a different geography? And I thought, yeah, okay, I'm going to move one more time. But as the story unfolded, it was something that I just could not help but engage more deeply in the possibility. And then finally, I asked myself the question, which is what we do in our professional work, what's the purpose of this? And am I being true to who I am? Am I moving in integrity to get to the ultimate goal? And if the answer is yes, then what does it take for me to get there? And so what if it's different? Because we're not going to accomplish something meaningful if we're not willing to engage courageously in doing something differently and engaging with people that we don't normally speak with. And so that's where I am. That's what I would say to any young professional. Be willing to look outside of your usual lens. And yes, we communicate through social media, but be willing to do something different and step away from your iPad, away from the platform, and engage with people one-on-one, in person, because there's nothing that beats that.
Well, I think that is fantastic advice, and I want to come back to it. We're going to take a break right now from More Than the Bottom Line. We'll be right back. Welcome back to More Than the Bottom Line. With me today is Winsome and Ashley with Facebook. Before the break, we were talking about mentoring and the role that mentors make in all of our lives. And I'd love for you to share some more mentoring stories. I think that is so important. You mentor within Facebook and you mentor within the community. So.
Well, I can give you some just stories, amazing stories from employees that we have a cohort around 50 employees that go to a local nonprofit every week to mentor students after school. And it's been amazing just to hear those stories. And there was one Latina engineer who was mentoring another Latina student. And she's like, I've never met a Latina woman in STEM. And it was just mind-blowing that, you know, she comes from a community where just STEM or just engineering wasn't really something that she was thinking about, just because she never saw it around her. And so it's one of those type of stories and that impact that we see every day. And, you know, our employees are even more engaged and just really want that desire to just give back because they really didn't see someone in that role. And, you know, in this particular girl is like, well, I would love to be, like, I think your job sounds super awesome and super cool. So it really makes your job even more rewarding that, you know, you're not only giving back to Facebook in the sense of, you know, you went to school and now you're working on the product and whatnot, but also giving back to in that way. So it's been really great to see that.
Yeah, and I think it's important for us as we mature, instead of age, to really pay attention to the giving back part of it, wherever we are. I think the greatest affirmation for me is when I see young professionals who I've mentored or managed or coached at some point in their careers step up, and I see them on the LinkedIn news feed or on a Facebook news feed with the latest announcement of yet another career step forward. Somebody becomes a vice president of a major organization or they're leading a major initiative, and I feel, now that's, to me, a measure of personal success. It's not about yourself and my name in lights. And we also, in mentoring, as mature professionals, have to be true to who we are. If you're not the kind of person who likes to engage in large groups, and if you prefer to be more of a one-on-one type of mentor, then be true to that. And I find that that's my sweet spot. I don't care to be before an auditorium with 2,000 people and I am at the podium. That's not my preferred style. So I'm much more impactful when I'm one-on-one or in small group settings, and that's the influence I've had with professionals across different industries and across the country. That's really the key that I would like to leave in my legacy. What influence have you had, and how have you opened the doors of possibility for other young women and young men into things that they could do and how they could actually live fulfilling professional lives? Well,
and I think if you move from mentoring from a personal mission, because I think we all should be mentors. And you think about the company's ethos. They're about mentoring through the platform.
Absolutely.
And the tools that are provided and the community engagement. And so the advice, again, I always come back to advice and thoughts. What would you encourage other tech and non-tech companies to think about? Because you've done some really very positive, you've changed lives in communities. So what would each of you say?
I would say to really listen and to really be open and connect with those who have just different perspectives. I think the platform really gives that ability to talk to others that you might not talk to. And not only on the platform, but as Winsome said, off the platform. And I think that coming back to just the mission of building community and connecting people, we say not only use the product, but also go out and do that. You know, we do it in the same way. We use our Facebook pages, but we also make sure that there's so much value to talk to you. Like I can send you a message and whatnot, but if I'm talking to you in person, and if there's someone that's maybe very frustrated about whatnot, like just listening to them and just making sure that they see a face to this big corporation that they sometimes see. And I think that's my advice to a lot of tech companies. Just be out there and really talk to those residents and those nonprofits and those small business owners that either have, you know, feedback or suggestions or just simply frustrations that they just want to really just vent. And I think that's truly part of my job, and I love it. And you know, some days are harder than others, but at the end of the day, I come back home realizing that I work for a company that really cares about its communities and is really driven to make that positive impact and that change.
And I would say to tech companies, I would echo, first of all, everything Ashley just said, but not to be afraid to evolve. This is a new industry, relatively new,
Yes.
young industry, and we're changing. And just to be open to evolving your business culture and mission, to be responsive and adaptive to the communities that we're serving.
Winsome and Ashley, I want to thank you, and I want to thank Facebook for being such a great part of our community. Facebook does things on so many levels, and I really appreciate you sharing the stories with us, being willing to join me on More Than the Bottom Line.
And thank you for having us. We're really happy to be here.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of More Than the Bottom Line. We'll be right back. Welcome to our segment, Guess the Company. This company was founded in 1915 by Willis Jack Frost. There are 13 regional offices located throughout California. The company has been a part of master planning for Lockheed Martin, Stanford Shopping Center, NASA Ames Research Center, Monterey Bay Aquarium, Genentech, Santana Row, and Oracle. And the company is BKF. Today, BKF has over 450 employees. 25% of the employees have been with the company more than 10 years. And BKF is an American Planning Association award-winning company and one of the best places to work in the Bay Area for the last decade. Thank you for joining us on today's More Than the Bottom Line.
This program is brought to you by SAMCEDA, the San Mateo County Economic Development Association.